Welcome to the Florida Freak Show. This week we'll be planting our Florida Freak flag in DeLand, as in DeLand of the free and home of the freaks.
We'll also find out the one thing that you don't want to say to a Florida freak in Key West.
Right. And how about Florida Freak Show public service announcement? Today we'll learn how not to protect yourself from COVID-19.
Oh, all that. And also, Fidel Castro has a freaky plot to take over the Sunshine State from beyond the grave.
That's crazy. We're letting our freak flag fly. Welcome. This is the Florida Freak Show.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! Ladies and gents, boys and girls, step right up for the Florida Freak Show.
Thanks for joining us on our maiden voyage aboard the SS Freak Show. I'm Cory O'Donnell.
And I'm Kirsten O'Donnell. Today we're going to share some freaky Florida news stories ripped from the headlines, to steal a phrase from Law and Order.
Right, and you know, if you've ever picked up a phone or a paper or watched a newscast or anything that's happening in Florida, you know that there's lots of crazy stories. So share some of the stories that you have for us this episode.
So our first Florida freak comes out of Monroe County, Florida. Cory, are you familiar with Monroe County?
Monroe County, I've heard, is south of us here. We're in Lee County and in Collier County in southwest Florida. So Monroe County is like the Key West area?
It is the majority of the Keys, as well as a whole bunch of swamp on peninsular Florida.
Oh, peninsular.
You like that? Peninsular Florida.
Yeah.
Yes, but Key West really
Key
is
West.
the county seat. I mean,
Okay.
and I believe that this probably would have taken place in Key West, though it is brought to us from WKMG, clickorlando.com, who, by the way, kills it with the Florida Man type stories.
They've really got a lot of them that they can share with everyone, right?
They do.
Awesome.
They do.
Good.
So this particular one out of Monroe County, Florida, an argument over passing gas and a request for a courtesy flush led to a Florida man beating his cellmate. Deputies said Guilford Joseph Abshire was sharing a cell around 7:30 a.m. He used their shared toilet, always fun, and afterwards his cellmate asked Abshire to provide a courtesy flush to help with the overwhelming odor. At that point, deputies said Abshire started kicking the victim, who was on the bottom bunk. The man got up. Abshire grabbed him by the throat and threw him across the cell. He suffered 3 broken ribs and a broken nose.
Ouch. Gosh.
Yes.
Seems like pretty just outstanding for just merely forgetting to flush a courtesy flush. Now, what I'm interested in is, what do you consider to be a courtesy flush? Because I've found a couple of different definitions for that. Like, one definition is that it's a flush that you would do in the middle of your bowel movement to help to alleviate the odor.
That would be the definition that I
right?
would use.
That's like
and
the
that I'm familiar
Merriam-Webster dictionary definition. As but I've also heard people consider it, and correct me if I'm wrong here. I know that I've heard other people think of it this way, as a courtesy flush would be something that you would give afterwards in case, just to make sure that you dispel of all of the remnants of said BM.
Well, I think that is a courtesy flush, but
Right.
not the courtesy flush.
So our good friends over at Click Orlando, who provide us with so many of these stories, do you think that they maybe should have gone into more detail about what this particular courtesy flush was about?
I honestly get the opinion that the phrase courtesy flush may have been used in the actual police report.
Oh, yeah.
I do not know that for a fact.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. It's like sometimes that'll happen, and, not to throw, our boys in blue, under the bus or anything like that. But sometimes they're just not really, it's, when they're sort of going through these reports, they may be using these words, and it's like, maybe, there's more than one definition for this. So I'm just curious. I know that when it comes right down to it, the punishment probably doesn't necessarily fit the crime in this.
Now, that said, the broken nose that he suffered probably will prevent him from having to deal with the odors in the future.
Yeah. Now that definitely seems like more of a biblical, like,
eye for an eye.
Yeah,
kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah.
Hammurabi code.
Yeah, just I guess the ribs just maybe, just as a bit more of a punitive damages, right? Because it's like, you want to make sure that you get your message across, and then, so that it doesn't happen again.
There you go.
Okay.
So I think the moral to the story really of the whole thing is top bunk. You want top bunk in
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah.
A lot harder to get your nose broke.
Well, as they say, the fecal matter runs downhill anyway. So,
good point.
Yeah, definitely bottom bunk is not where you want to be at. All right, excellent. Great first story. Love hearing that. So, Florida man, and even in prison, does not disappoint.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. So our second story comes to us courtesy of our fine governor, Ron DeSantis.
This is not a courtesy flush, but a courtesy of our governor.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Although, you don't get elected without a courtesy flush here.
No.
So Governor DeSantis, during a news conference a few weeks back, actually, this is not a particularly recent story, but brought to us, by the way, from the investigators up at abcactionnews.com in Sarasota. Governor DeSantis, in a news conference, was explaining the importance of hand sanitizer.
Always good.
Always good,
Very
especially
important at this time, in these days, and it's in the parlance of our times.
Oh, parlance.
Yes.
Nice. In the parlance of our times, yes. So demonstrated how to utilize hand sanitizer. At the time, he held up a bottle of hand sanitizer on his desk, told the public he keeps the spray on his desk, and specifically the brand Durasan. But he did mention that it was the brand that was available on Amazon.
Okay.
So
all right.
he said, I don't know where it comes from, but it's pretty good stuff. So coincidentally,
Yeah.
Durasan is made in Florida.
Oh, excellent. That turns out really, really well for the governor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. Pro-business.
Yes.
Pro-business.
Yeah.
Hard to be,
Well, and it's good to keep it local,
That's right. Keeping it local. However, Durasan also alcohol-free. Alcohol-free hand sanitizer, not recommended by the CDC as being effective against coronavirus.
I was going to ask about that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kirsten, but I believe that is one of those guidelines, those sticky little widgets that, that they really want to get across, is that alcohol is so important.
Right. So the CDC, of course, we've all heard it a million times now, recommends hand sanitizer with a minimum of 60% alcohol,
Right.
or 120 proof if you're
Yep.
an alcoholic like me,
Right.
to be effective against coronavirus. Durasan has no alcohol. It has, and forgive me if I mispronounce, benzalkonium chloride as its active ingredient.
Sounds good to me.
It is approved by the FDA, but is not approved specifically against coronavirus.
Yeah, and that's really what the important thing is here. It's like if we're having press conferences and news conferences about coronavirus, we really want to get across that alcohol, especially the content by volume, is so important. In addition to that, we've heard stories recently about Tito's, people using Tito's as a hand sanitizer, and the good people at Tito's have said, please don't do that. We would rather that you use it for imbibing, because our for many other reasons than our vodka only has 40% alcohol or 80 proof. Which also does not meet the recommended guidelines.
It does not.
No.
It does not. And I mean, use cheap vodka
Yeah.
if you're going to use it.
I think it's, when it really comes down to it, it's just about the alcohol content. So
Right.
yeah, that's what you should be looking for.
Ooh,
So
Everclear. Do they still make Everclear?
now, I also read something recently that said, that Everclear is not something that you want to use either.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's because it falls just short, but I don't believe that that's the case. So it may be some other reason for it. Maybe just kind of stick. I mean, I know that we're running low on it, but there are some heroic distilleries out there, including one that's in our neck of the woods,
Wicked Dolphin.
Wicked Dolphin, who has shut down production, or at least has given some of their production time to making hand sanitizer and donating it to our hospitals, which is really, really awesome that they do that. And so maybe leave it to the pros. Obviously there are ways out there that you can make your own stuff at home, and we all know that a good moonshine, is not necessarily a bad thing. But, if you really want to be a stickler, maybe leave it to the pros.
So speaking of our illustrious governor, Ron
Yes.
DeSantis.
Yes.
Did you see the press conference where he wore gloves?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Or should I say specifically wore glove because he went a la Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Wearing one glove.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a glittery glove.
It was not.
It was
not.
blue,
It was
right?
a blue latex glove. Yeah. No sparkles, no sequins.
Yeah.
Really kind of disappointing, but really seemed very puzzled, perplexed, confused as to how the glove is supposed to work in these, what did you call them? The
parlance of our times.
Parlance of our times.
Yeah. So,
yes.
I mean, if nothing else, let's start working us Floridians out there. And if you're not from Florida and you happen to be listening to this podcast, you can also play along at home. I mean, really, when it comes right down to it, it's like, let's start working on our technique when it comes to using these gloves, right?
Yes. So our governor wore one glove. He touched his face with his non-gloved hands and then almost immediately afterwards clasped his two hands together. So any of his facial goo, germs, I don't
Right.
I mean, I don't want to say that our governor has a gooey face.
No,
but
we would never say that.
no. However, anything that he may have picked up in the process of touching his face, which we all know is a big no-no in the parlance of our times.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So ask your doctor how to wear gloves. I think.
Ask your doctor how to wear gloves. We know that it's really hard to not touch your face, as shown to us by our illustrious governor. But we really got to work on making sure that happens.
So, Corey.
Yes.
Your opinion.
Okay. I love giving my opinion.
Where did COVID-19 come from?
Well, I mean, I'm basing it on, small bits of logic. It's my understanding that it came from small parts of China. I believe it was called the Wuhan.
Animal to human transmission,
right.
I believe.
Yeah, right.
The wet market, bats maybe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I guess I was thinking of geographically and not necessarily.
That's fine as well.
Yeah.
That's fine as well,
Right.
yes. So China,
Yeah,
maybe bats.
Right, yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And this comes from Miami New Times, reporter Alexei Cardona. Countless unknowns surround COVID-19, of course. Including the length of the incubation period, whether or not people who have recovered from the disease can become reinfected,
Right.
why some cases are more severe than others.
Yep.
All questions I think that we have.
Yeah.
Miami-Dade County Commissioner Javier Suoto has implied that Cuba may be weaponizing the coronavirus and exporting it to Miami. So
Interesting.
apparently it comes from Cuba.
Interesting. Well, that just blows this whole thing wide open.
Right.
I was under the impression it started in China, worked its way, to a number of different other, but Cuba so close to where we are.
Right.
It's really, it's actually a little disconcerting to hear this.
So Suoto, who, by the way, has served his district for 27 years.
Good for him.
Yes, he is 81 years old.
Oh, wow.
On a virtual county commission meeting. By the way, he did not have a webcam. Everyone else did. He did not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's 81.
Yeah.
Technology, might be. You would think that perhaps he would have a staffer or a kind soul nearby to assist, but
not that we're generalizing here. We would never want to do that.
Not at all. But my mother isn't nearly that old, and she wouldn't be able to figure out a webcam.
Yeah, and in the parlance of our times, we really don't want to be exposing our elders to these sorts of things. So
No.
he may have just been like, I think I can figure it out on my own. Maybe it backfired. I'm not sure.
Absolutely.
We can't say for sure.
So Suoto, during this meeting, this commission meeting,
Right.
said it's well known that the Cuban government, after the Bay of Pigs and so on, and the missile crisis, began experimenting and getting a lot of support from the Soviet Union in biological warfare. They have weaponized certain diseases and certain things. I don't know what other things, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
And this may very well be the sort of moment that they're trying to capitalize and use to inflict one more wound on the USA.
Right. Well, I mean, it's good that he was able to paint with such a broad brush there, so it really gives us a lot of meat to chew on. There are lots of different things. Bay of Pigs. We know about all of these different.
You're the history buff, here,
right?
so,
yeah.
yes.
So I mean, who knows? I mean, I know Fidel Castro has been dead for some time, but maybe this could be his piece de resistance that he has brought back, posthumously, and perhaps the one thing that really cleanses the earth of the capitalist pigs.
Oh.
Just spitballing here. Not sure if I'm hitting it close to the nose. We'd have to ask,
Well, Suoto, I should point out, is originally from Cuba.
Oh, okay. Well,
so maybe he's got some insider information.
It could be, yeah. I mean, that's what we really need to be playing with here when we're gonna start discussing these, stories that Florida man or woman would be putting out. We want to make sure that that they have some sort of research or life experience that they can put that backing into.
So I should point out, and this is from the article, Fidel Castro's government in the summer of 1981 blamed the U.S. CIA for introducing a new strain of dengue fever in Cuba that led to 150 deaths and 350,000 infections. So really, maybe it's just Castro from beyond the grave, reaching back into the CIA playbook and just...
Well, yeah.
But maybe I'm a little of a conspiracy theorist.
Retaliatory, revenge is a dish best served cold. I mean, yeah.
Very cold in this case,
Cold War days. I mean, yeah, so why not? 40 years later, let's make it happen.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so our final freak of the week here.
Okay, freak of the week.
Again, from clickorlando.com. And DeLand, Florida. Now, are you familiar with DeLand?
I'm not.
So once we were stuck on I-4 for about 2 hours.
FUI-4, right?
Yes, FUI-4 in a car accident, not our accident, and ended up in DeLand.
Okay.
It is just a little bit west of Daytona.
Oh, okay. All right.
It is the Athens of Florida, by the way. I don't know.
The Athens of Florida.
I'm assuming Greece.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Couldn't possibly
not home
be.
Of REM and the B-52s,
right.
Athens, Georgia.
Couldn't be Athens, Georgia. But I mean, come on. It's a lot more fun to say it that way.
Right.
Welcome to the Athens of Florida.
Plus, I can't do a Greek accent. So
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess I'd have to catch up on my the name of the
Big Fat Greek.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Thank you very much. Okay.
A Florida man.
Yeah.
Who drank a bottle of wine at a Winn-Dixie and then fled the store.
Why wouldn't you?
Ran a red light and caused a hit-and-run crash.
Ooh, yikes.
The man left the store in a black Hyundai. An employee took a picture of his license plate and watched as he ran a red light, T-boned a Spectrum truck, sideswiped a Hyundai.
Ooh.
The suspect...
Hyundai on Hyundai action there.
Yes.
Okay.
Very confusing.
Yeah.
The suspect denied driving the vehicle and instead pointed the blame at an unknown man named John.
Oh, John.
But a woman and an 11-year-old girl who were in the car let officers know that the man, John Rowe, was indeed behind the wheel.
Oh.
Now, I need to backtrack a little bit to John Rowe. John Rowe drank a bottle of wine in the store and left without paying.
Okay.
He drank that bottle of wine and left without paying after the multiple gift cards he presented were all declined.
Oh, well, makes sense. I mean, why would you try to buy the wine if you can drink it for free a little earlier in the purchase process?
Did he drink the wine first, bring the empty bottle to the cash register, and then try to pay for it?
I mean...
Or did he try to pay for it? They said, nope. And cracked it open and drank it.
I don't like to think of myself as a criminal mastermind, but
neither does John Rowe.
Right, but trying to get inside the mind of a criminal, it seems to me like it would make a lot more sense. Because wouldn't it be nice to enjoy that bottle of wine at a beach or some other lovely Florida vista? So maybe taking that with you, and perhaps because all of his payment methods didn't work, he decided, I'm just going to drink the whole thing and then I'm going to take it.
Right, but there's also the appeal. I mean, we used to have a supermarket here
Right.
where you could purchase
You're right about
some
that.
beer or
Yes.
some wine to
Yeah.
consume while you shopped.
Yeah, and sometimes you just you see a bottle of wine and you're just sort of like, I gotta have. I'm very parched right now. I really feel like I'm just gonna open it now. I'm just gonna start drinking it, and then I'll just pay for it when we get there. And maybe I drink the whole thing. I don't know where the day's gonna take me. I mean, it's a beautiful Florida day. Who knows?
Yeah, perhaps he just, like you said, hit the wine aisle first.
Yeah.
Cracked it open and thought, I'll pay for this later.
Yeah.
I've personally done that with a box of tissues when I've had a bad cold.
Of course.
Busted into the tissues and paid for them at the register.
By the transitive property, it really wouldn't be that difficult to go from tissues to wine. I mean, it's they're both to be utilized.
Right.
They both serve a purpose.
Right. So, by the way, after the interviews with all of the folks who were involved in the accident, police searched Mr. Rowe's black Hyundai.
Oh, okay.
And found a syringe, 2 glass pipes with crack cocaine residue inside, 0.01 grams of cocaine, and a folded up piece of paper and a makeup bag containing more syringes.
Really? So before you actually...
So not just an alcoholic.
Yeah. Before you went into all those details about things that they found in the car...
You thought it was just a hard luck story, didn't you?
Well, I honestly thought, when you started going to that place, I was like, he probably has a bunch of children's toys that he's about to donate, for some, he's on his way to do that, decided to stop by, pick up a nice bottle of wine to celebrate afterwards.
Oh.
And everything just sort of, goes akimbo and takes, a dastardly turn.
Wow.
Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I like to see the best in people, even for Florida man and women.
You're quite the optimist. So
I always have been.
Another question I have.
Yeah.
What kind of wine do you think he's drinking in the store?
Oh, it must be probably, I would say, easily something $45, $50 bottle, maybe even higher. A nice Cabernet, a nice Merlot.
I'm just letting you hang here because I know you know nothing.
I
about
know
wine.
really nothing about wine. I'm not showing any sort of idea of.
It's not a $500 bottle of Opus 5.
Okay.
I mean,
okay. Well, there you go. Thank you for saving me with that. It's like I could maybe talk a little bit about. No, I actually can't talk about any of that stuff.
it's not a Dom Perignon.
Dom
champagne.
Perignon.
Maybe.
Champagne.
Yes, fine champagne. Do we think it's like a Boone's Farm situation? Because that's really sad if you're digging into the gift cards to pay for your Boone's Farm.
Man, it's hard to say. I mean, you started telling this story and I had, one sort of idea of what this, profile of what this person looked like. And then it all just took a big turn and it's hard to say. I don't know. I wouldn't know even where to begin. I would think that it would be something somewhat expensive because, he's trying to pay for it with all these gift cards, something that he's just not able to do.
Plus, I mean, Winn-Dixie.
Yeah.
That's where you're getting the primo vino.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the place where you go, the vino heads, the winos, right? They would go there, right? Or winos have... It's a different connotation.
Well, it depends. Is it Wineaux?
That's the only way that I really know how to spell it. I'm sure that there's. Yeah, I'm sure that there are other ways.
I don't know the appropriate term for a classy wino.
Yeah, hard to say. I don't know. So what? So what do you think?
About
like the type of bottle. I mean, what
I'm thinking it's Mad Dog.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
you're probably
he's Mad
right.
Dogging it.
You're probably right. I mean, when it comes when you really just need a bottle of wine right then and there, Mad Dog's the one that's going to do it.
And it's more refreshing.
Totally.
Yeah,
and it really gets you to where you need to be like as quickly as possible.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the Florida freaks.
Well,
that
that's
I
great.
have
I
for
mean,
this week.
I love hearing about these freaks of the week, and a great mix. You know, a little something, a little conspiracy theory,
little politics,
little prison love thing going on there. Not really love thing, but you know, it's a lesson that can be learned that we could all learn from. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, my mantra is I'd like to learn something new every day. Now I know, you know, the importance of a courtesy flush just because I don't want to get my, you know, my nose broken and my ribs knocked in, you know, and I certainly don't want to be on the bottom bunk.
Top bunk.
Yes.
Courtesy flush.
Yeah.
2 gloves.
2 gloves. Always
gloves.
try to do 2 gloves if possible. Right.
Avoid Castro.
Avoid Castro. Right.
Some things from Cuba are good.
Mm-hmm.
Sandwiches, delicious.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Mojitos.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Coronavirus or
Weaponized.
theories therein. Hard, you know, who's to know for sure.
Plus, just check those gift cards really
Check the gift cards
before you go to the store.
Yeah. Maybe wait till you know, home, even the parking lot before you decide to open up that bottle of wine.
I just realized it had to be something with a screw top.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think he's busting out a corkscrew.
Well, and I mean, that's just really thinking ahead. You know, unless he's got like just a little waiter's
unless he went to the corkscrew
that
aisle.
hangs, or it hangs off of his keychain. You know, it's a possibility too. I mean, you never know when you're gonna have to pop a cork. You know, you just don't.
So those were our freakiest Florida finds for this inaugural episode of the Florida Freak Show podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for our little slice of Sunshine State silliness.
Right. And remember to follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. That's at FlaFreakshow. And also rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast if you love what you're listening to. I'm Cory O'Donnell.
And I'm Kirsten O'Donnell. We'll be back next week. And until then, let your Florida freak flag fly.